Welcome back. In addition to local races and county races and congressional races, there are also some very important statewide races that will be on the ballot this year. And while the media tends to focus on the candidates running to be their next governor or senator, we are also electing an attorney general, an agriculture commissioner, and a chief financial officer. These are critically important positions that do not get the attention they deserve. Take the CFO position. That is basically the state's watchdog on spending, as well as overseeing the insurance industry. Former State Senator Annette Taddeo is running to be the Democratic nominee for Chief Financial Officer, and I spoke to her last week.
Jim, at this point, what is going on in not just our country, but our state, where people are truly suffering and not being able to afford their homes, and in particular in Florida, with the insurance crisis, something that I fought in Tallahassee for 5 years, sitting on the Banking and Insurance Committee, as a matter of fact, leading that fight against the insurance companies. I really felt that this is not the time to stand on the sidelines. This is the time to fight and to have a voice and a balance on our cabinet, something we haven't had for many years.
So people may not fully understand exactly what the chief financial officer's role is or why you would bring up insurance as part of that. Explain the link and the role that the chief financial officer plays in different areas, particularly as it comes to insurance.
Look, the chief financial officer, in a very rudimentary way, is the watchdog for Floridians. It's supposed to be, I should say, the watchdog. And what we currently have is a lapdog for the governor, and that is unacceptable. And one of the things of the many things that deals with the Financial Services Department for the state of Florida, so lots of different things fall under that. But one of the very important ones is insurance and oversight over resources and audits and things like that. But I can tell you, when it comes to insurance, we have had now for decades in Tallahassee the electeds doing the bidding for the insurance companies. And you can follow the money. You can see all the contributions. We have not had somebody that's truly going to be there to look out for the homeowners. We even gave them a $3 billion bailout while I was there. And all I asked, I remember I had an amendment and I said, hey, just give 5%, a tiny percentage to the homeowners out of this bailout. No. They do not want to take care of the homeowners and the ones actually, many of them not being able to keep a roof over their head because they can't afford the insurance premiums.
Well, I think the argument, the pushback to what you're saying is that there does seem to be more insurance carriers now entering the market, that some of the reforms that were put out several years ago, back when you were in the legislature, they take time to develop. And we've seen what I know Republicans would argue is a stabilization, at least, of insurance rates in Florida. What's your reaction to that?
First of all, tell that to the homeowners whose insurance doubled, then tripled, and who, if they get hit by anything now, really have a hard time getting insurance companies to pay for your damage. The insurance company now gets to pick who does your repairs, which is in itself a conflict of interest. There is so much that I could go into of the many issues with that. And I will tell you, I am not some left of the left that believes that, the government is the solution for everything. I actually was pretty moderate in my time in the legislature, and many times even voted with DeSantis, to the shock of many. But the point is, we can't be irresponsible, Jim, when it comes to really getting a balance. And we don't have a balance. And we don't have a balance when all you do is take away the rights of homeowners to, when they need the insurance, get their repairs, get paid. They put you through thick and thin, and now they have made it even more difficult for you to fight them. And the consumer person that is supposed to help the consumers is directly under the CFO.
There was somebody who was in this race who appeared to have been recruited in part by the chair of the state Democratic Party, Nikki Fried. That person is Earl Ford. He has been running for the position of chief financial officer. And I want you to address why you decided to get in the race when there was another candidate in it, and also the concern that some have expressed. Earl Ford is an African American, that there needed to be better representation for a statewide ballot measure. And some are looking at, why are you jumping into a race in which there was already a candidate, let alone an African American candidate?
I had a conversation. I don't know Mr. Ford. I had a conversation with him to let him know that this decision-making process was actually well before he ever popped up. I know that we definitely, I know that the polling that was independently done by Bruce Liss and the process of talking with me about getting in this race, which showed that I start out the race ahead by 1.5 points of the incumbent, unelected incumbent, I might add. All of these things went on well before his name even came up. And I can tell you that this decision was made before he got in the race. And I am in no way, I welcome democracy. I welcome people getting in the race. And Jim, when I won my special election in Senate District 40, I was told by the party that not to run, that they were looking for someone else. That's not the case this time, but I will tell you that I know that we will succeed in the primary, and we're not really concerned. We know that we need somebody that understands the issues, that has been in Tallahassee fighting for consumers, fighting for Floridians, and I have never stopped fighting. And I am in this race because I am not done fighting for the people of Florida.
The current chief financial officer, who you correctly note was appointed by Governor Ron DeSantis, is Blaise Ngaya, a former state senator, who then moved into that position when the last CFO ran and won a seat in Congress. So I guess, looking at Blaise Ngaya as the likely matchup that you would face in November, he has made or tried to make a name for himself as someone who has diligently gone around the state and challenged local governments at the county and city level about whether or not they have had excessive spending. We've done reporting on this show to sort of look at some of the ways he's done that in Broward, and there are concerns with the way he's doing this. But his tenure seems to be directed at trying to get at waste, fraud, and abuse. Where do you think he's gone wrong in that mission?
Well, first of all, if he really wants to get into waste, fraud, and abuse, then why isn't he doing his job? Like I said, he is a lapdog for the governor, not a watchdog that Floridians deserve. This should not be about going after blue cities or blue counties versus red counties. The people suffering in Florida, they're both Republican, Democrat, and independent. And you need that independent voice sitting in that position. Why hasn't he gone after the part of his job, which is to audit no bid contracts like Alligator Alcatraz? Why hasn't he looked into that? That is in statute. That is actually something he should be looking at. $1 million a day, almost $1 million for porta potties. I mean, and then you go and you look at the contributions of some of these vendors with these no bid contracts for Alligator Alcatraz. It's actual donors that have given both to DeSantis and to Blaise Ngaya. In addition to that, there is so much more we should be looking at, like Hope Florida, money that was supposed to go to sick kids. And where did it go? To campaign ads. If there isn't something wrong with that, I don't know what do they define as wrong. That is wrong, and we should be looking into it, not just from the courts, but also from the money perspective of the watchdog of Floridians.